Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think the audio is normal. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. All the parts that I have are the parts you ordered. Okay. Well, we're gonna be doing a new build. This is gonna be a very different kind of build from last time. So this time I'm gonna be building in a new case. So I've never used this case before. So it's gonna be a new building experience for me. This is going to be the NZXT H7 Flow. It has been a very long time since I have used an NZXT case. I've built in NZXT cases before, but if you guys have watched the previous build videos that we did that featured NZXT, those are really old NZXT, almost vintage style cases. So we're going to be using a modern case. This is the H7 Flow. This is a brand new 2024 edition. So there's actually two variants of this case. There's the regular H7 Flow, and I guess the year of that release was 2022. So that case is 2 years old in terms of the design. This is the new 2024 edition. So this one came out a few months ago. There's not a whole lot of content on this case, so it's kind of diving in blind here, figuring out whether or not it's good for air cooling or liquid cooling. We are going to be using liquid cooling on this build because I currently don't have any air coolers available. Like, literally the only cooler I have that's sitting around is going to be this one. So it's going to be this, which has been featured before on this channel. This is the Deep Cool LT720. So we're going to be building using one of these for cooling the 9800X3E. And then I've also got some of these Montech fans, which you're going to be using as well. These are the Montech 140 millimeter ARGB fans. So we're going to be using those for the front intake because I don't think the NZXT comes with very fancy fans unless you opt for the more expensive RGB version, which comes with, I think, 3 that are physically combined together. And yeah, and then for the power supply, we're going to be using the Corsair RM850X. This will be the power supply that I use. I think for the amount of power that the 9800X3D uses, I think 850 is enough. I don't see any problem with pairing this up with this CPU or any of the GPUs really. So 850 watts is a good amount. That being said, this is kind of the minimum that I would go with for any sort of high-end build. And then for the RAM, we're going to be using the Magic Memory. This is the G-Skill Trident Z5, rated for DDR5 8000. So this is an XMP memory kit. You can see it is XMP 3.0 Intel ready. So we're going to be using this. We're going to run it at 8000. And the motherboard was featured in a previous video last month. This is going to be the X870E Taichi from ASRock. So that's the motherboard that we're going to be using because that was the motherboard that people kept asking me to do the build with. So that's going to be it. You slept in the Micro Center parking lot. Wow. We're not going to be using the 8400 kit for reasons that I've explained previously, but we're going to be using the 8000 kit for that. So that's going to be that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, the graphics card. Yeah, the graphics card. Well, we'll figure that out. I think what we're probably going to do is use a limited edition Power Color Red Devil 7900 XTX. I think that's what we're going to go with because that's the most modern one that's available. There's a bunch of GPUs back there. That's the one that we're probably going to use. It's probably going to be that Red Devil limited edition, which I've had for almost 2 years now. So let's go ahead and get started here. Yeah, I guess I'll put this over here. And I think that, yeah, we're probably going to add some fans as well. So how should I do this? Should I get the case out first? I haven't even unboxed the case. The case is still in the original packaging. I haven't actually opened it. so I don't know if there's anything that's like defective or whatever with the case. So maybe I should open the case first and look at that. What do you guys think? Let's open the case. Okay, so that's gonna go over there. These need to go somewhere. I guess these fans can go over here. This power supply needs to go somewhere too. Okay, yeah, this is all like taped up. I'm gonna have to cut this open. It's been a long time since I've used a new case like this. But I feel like if somebody is thinking of building a gaming PC, not a productivity PC, because I'm so used to building productivity PCs that I've almost forgotten what it's like building a gaming PC. And I really think that the NZXT H7 Flow is an excellent choice, at least on paper. Like, I haven't really done any builds in it before, so we're kind of going in blind with this. Okay. I think that's that. Wow, this is a new... I have not unboxed a case in a long time. I don't even know what's the best way to get this out. I may have to move all that stuff out of the way. This case comes in two colors, so there is both a black and a white version of the same case. There we go. Okay. It's a lot of static electricity here. Very different from the PS5 unboxing. PS5 Pro was a far more simpler unboxing than this. Oh, it's in actually a cardboard. It's in like a cardboard shell. Wait a minute. This is the bottom. Okay, so this is the bottom of the case. Here is the little, whatever this is. Instructions, I guess. What do you think the 5090? What are we talking about? What do you think the think? What do I think the think? Alright, so that's the back. Alright, this is taller than I thought it was going to be. This is actually quite tall. They do have good packaging on this, though. I will say NZXT's packaging is very good on this. Okay. Well, it looks very modern. I like that there's no tempered glass on the back. I don't understand why they were, like, a lot of these case manufacturers were putting tempered glass on the back side of the case. Anyway, this is it. You guys can kind of see. Let me move it over here, actually, just to take a look at it here. It is relatively tall. We can get some measurements here. So it is 18.5 inches or 47 centimeters. And that for across the top, so like from the front of it to the back of it, it is 47 centimeters or 18.5 inches. And then the width, it is 9 3/4 in terms of the inches, and then it is 24.5 centimeters in terms of the how wide it is. And then the height is going to be 21.5 inches or 54.5 centimeters. So those are the dimensions. It is 2, 4, 6, 7. It has 7 slots at the back, which means it is a mid-tower case. This is not a full tower, despite it being relatively tall. So it's definitely a mid-tower. All right. It does not have any tinted window or anything. This is like regular glass. There's plastic covering on it, you know, that you can peel off. But the top looks like it can fit a 360 AO. We're going to be using the deep cool. So I already have the deep cool here ready. So just to kind of see how that's going to look. Yeah, that'll definitely fit. So that'll fit. Okay, so I don't have to worry about clearance or anything. It has a power button. It does not have a reset button. There is no reset button, at least not at the top. I don't know, maybe there's one somewhere else. Yeah, I don't see a reset button on this case. So there's no reset button. It has a single USB-C and dual USB 3.0. These are like 5 gig, I believe, for Type A, and then it has a combined 3.5 jack. So this is gonna be the case. This looks very fitting for a 9800X3D build, actually. This is something that I would not use for a workstation or a productivity machine. Like, I definitely wouldn't build a Threadripper in this. But it does support EATX motherboards, and the Taichi that we're going to be building with is an EATX board. So you do need to make sure, if you're going to get a board like the Taichi, make sure you get a case that can fit the motherboard, because it's a large motherboard. Yeah, we'll be doing overclocking in a separate video. We'll look at like the XMP profile though for this. Okay, so I need to figure out how do I open the top? Does this come out? Oh, okay, so does that come out or? Oh, okay, so it's like that. It has the little buttons that like click in. All right, so that's gonna be the glass. Let's just put this over here so it's not in the way. You know, one thing I will say that I like about this case, I like that it feels very strong, but it's not extremely heavy. As someone who has done a lot of builds in recent months here on the channel, I'm really tired of like super heavy cases, like 35-pound cases, like with glass on both sides. Like, I'm sick and tired of that. I really like that this NZXT is actually very lightweight, so it's actually very easy to carry. Because you have to remember, if you fill all of the stuff in there, it's going to get heavy. So if it starts off really heavy to begin with, it's not really fun to carry it around. So, okay. One thing, the motherboard is going to go really far down in there. And I need to figure out how to take the front off. Oh, okay, so it just kind of comes off like that. Alright. Okay. It has triple 120mm fans in the front. I don't know what's the best camera angle. That is, that kind of shows it. That kind of shows it right there. So you guys got 3 120s. It can fit 420 or 140, and it has a lot of grommets here for cable routing on the side. And I guess the last thing I'll do, I'll take this back side off. I'm not sure how that comes off. How did that come off? Just pulling it. Oh, okay. So it's completely toolless. The side panels are completely toolless. I do like that. And then in here with the zip tie or a twisty tie. The twisty tie is better because you can reuse those. So we got the H7 Flow series. In here is going to have all of the necessary screws and things. There are zip ties in there as well. So that's really nice. All of the front panel, the front audio. There looks like there's some kind of fan splitter or something on there. Oh, that's for the front fans. This can be reused. There's a hard drive cage. You can fit 2 3.5-inch drives on the side. So you got room for 2 3.5-inch, one here, and then down at the bottom it can house 2 2.5-inch SATA or SSDs. So okay, I like the weight of it because what I really wanted, I was looking for a case for a gaming build that's not going to weigh like a truck, and it's easy to carry around. It's easy to mod. Because this is very easy to mod. What I mean by that is if I want to put liquid cooling in here, I can do liquid cooling. I could do a 360 up top. I could do a 420 in the front if I wanted. So it gives me the options while also not weighing like a tank. And it's very easy for me to pick up and move around and pull things and put things in there. So I actually really like this so far. So first impressions are really good. One thing I wish it had though, I wish it had more fans. There's no fan at the rear, which is not a terrible deal breaker. I'm okay with not having a rear fan because I plan on adding, Montech fans, for example. But I could just relocate one of these front ones to the back. I wish these front fans were 140 millimeter instead of 120 millimeter. 120 seems kind of small, and for such a wide case, I don't know how well that shows up, but it looks kind of, it looks kind of rinky-dink, if you get what I'm saying. So, okay, let's go ahead and put this to the side, and let's start building the PC. The Gigabyte Aorus Pro Ice looks nice for a white build. Yeah, and actually, this does come in white. The NZXT case comes in white. This does look like the design language of NZXT is very cohesive. So what I mean by that is if you go with an NZXT motherboard, NZXT fans, the NZXT case, NZXT power supply, everything is going to match. Everything's going to look really good. They also have their own liquid cooling as well. So just if you're someone who's like a big fan of NZXT, I can see why. I guess a little bit of trivia about me. My first computer build was with an NZXT case. So the NZXT Nemesis, and then my second build was an NZXT Hades. Both cases I still have up to today. So this is my third NZXT case. So the last time I had an NZXT case was more than 10 years ago. So it's been a long time. Brina, thank you for the super chat, $2 there, much appreciated. All right, so what are people saying here? The Nova shares lanes with PCI 3 and M.2. Yeah, but not the GPU slot though. What do you think the 1590 will need? 1000's enough. 1000. Oh no, I don't agree. You want 1100 watt or more. If you're going 1590, you want 1100 watt minimum. Go for 1200, 1250, 1300, any of those. Okay. I am going to have to adjust this. I just realized that. The motherboard will not fit unless I move this. So I need to figure out how does that actually move? These capture screws? No. Somebody just subbed. Ben just subbed to the channel, I think. Thanks for the sub. Alright, I need to figure out how am I going to adjust this? Or is this already... Oh, okay. Okay. So I need to line that up if I want to keep that there. Alright, what I'm doing is I'm moving the cable shroud to the back, or I'm moving it forward
Past
actually.
the collection plate.
So that
This man has given us so much knowledge.
Francisco. Appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I will tell you guys, I don't expect to be doing any more of these builds for the rest of the year. This is probably going to be the last one. Because we're kind of pretty much maxed out on funding here. So this will be the last one. However, this was the best one, I think. The 9800 X3D was probably well worth the wait. We had to wait pretty much the whole year. But here it is. So, okay, so that's ready to support the EATX. I wanted to adjust that because I know the EATX board is very wide. Okay, so what do we do next? I guess let's look at the motherboard. Let's do the motherboard next. And then, well, I guess that's good enough view. Actually, you know what? Let's see if I can get this light here on the board. Maybe that'll be better. Alright, so you get the Wi-Fi 7 antenna. So put that over there. Here is RK's 8400 mega transfers RAM. So that's the 8400 kit. We're not going to be using that. We're going to be using the 8000 kit because the reason why we're not going to use this memory kit has a sub timing in the Faux 20 just subbed to the channel. Much appreciated. The reason why I'm not going to use the 8400 kit is because it has a primary timing. The timings are 40, 52, 52, 134. 134 does not work on Ryzen. It does not work on Ryzen.
Do you have an Amazon wishlist link?
That's the reason why we're not using it. Francisco, do I have an Amazon wishlist link? Not for the channel. I mean, I guess I could put one together for next year. If you guys want to help fund like builds for the next year. But not really. I can put one together though. For stuff. Really, the only thing, guys, the only thing that I'm looking forward to next year would be possibly the 9950 X3D. And then for the GPUs, we don't really know what's going to happen. All we know is that NVIDIA is going to launch the 50 series next year. AMD is going to launch RDNA 4 graphics cards next year. And then, you know, I don't know what Intel is going to do. They're kind of in a weird spot right now. me go ahead and close that up. '50 series with no riser cable support? Wait, what? Alright, there's the motherboard. And you guys, if you've seen the live videos previously, this is not the first time building with the Taichi. We did build with this, I believe it was the 97, yeah, it was the 9700X. So we did do a live PC build featuring this CPU, the 9700X. So now we're going to be upgrading that to the 9800X 3D. So, yeah, we'll do it that way. The Twitch channel is in the, it's in the description of this video. One thing I will mention, since we are talking about this, we do have Patreon now. So I do have the Patreon. So if you guys want to support the channel via Patreon, you can do that. I would appreciate that too. That definitely does help. I literally just got the Patreon set up because we were doing these build videos, like I think it was a month ago, and people kept asking about Patreon, so I put Patreon up. So if you guys want to support the channel that way, it would be much appreciated. Otherwise, don't feel like you have to support. But it definitely will help with the content on the channel. It can potentially help with the production values of the channel as well. Okay, so I'm trying to think, what do I need to remove? Oh yeah, this. Because that's going to be in the way for the graphics card. Okay. So this is the Taichi. You guys can tell right here, normally on these type of boards, the ATX comes up to about here. So this extra width that extends beyond the memory that goes out here, this is what makes it extended ATX or eATX. So it's got this M.2 over here. So we got an M.2 here, we got the Gen 5 one here, and then there's two more underneath this heatsink. So it does have these nice toolless heat sinks here that click right in. So that's very nice. This feels like a very high quality board. This is currently ASRock's flagship motherboard for the X870E chipset. So if you're someone who's looking to do a gaming build like this and you want a high-end board that has all the overclocking features, like for instance external E-clock, also known as base clock asynchronous mode, this motherboard does feature that. And I think this is actually the least expensive motherboard in the lineup that has that feature. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's move this out of the way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the CPU now. Where did I put... Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cut the seal. You gotta open it. You gotta open it in such a way that you don't cause a crease here. That's how you unbox stuff like a pro. Just FYI, you gotta open it so that there's no crease. So there's no crease. See how I open that? I open that up so that it looks like it's like brand new. Okay, this is it. I hold in my hand. It's like I feel like I'm holding the ring of power. It's weird. This is the fastest gaming CPU in the world currently. The new Ryzen 7 9800X3D 8-core 16-thread. This is it. Wow. It has the new logo. It has the new AMD Ryzen sticker right there. They're going away from the Enso, like, you know, like the Japanese calligraphy. They're going with the regular, you know, it looks very like it's from the mobile market. So anyway, that's a change that we saw with Zen 5 when those launched.
I just became a Patreon member.
Much appreciated. Welcome to the channel. And let's go ahead and open this up so you guys can see the socket is there. I'm going to try to put this in upside down. Man, this is like the one ring to rule them all. So when you put the CPU in, if you're not familiar with how to install these CPUs, you want to try to line it up so that there are two notches. There is a notch at the bottom and there's a notch at the top, as well as there's a little golden triangle, like an arrow that points to the northwest. You want to line that up with where it shows up on the socket on the ILM. So once that in, also, I guess the easiest way is just make sure the Ryzen, AMD Ryzen logo is in the standard placement. So like if you're looking at the board from top to bottom, that the AMD Ryzen logo is lining up with the board. That's another obvious way to show that you have inserted the CPU the proper way. Now this is different from AM4 because AM4, it is turned at a 90-degree angle. So if you're someone who is upgrading from AM4, you need to be aware that these CPUs go in differently. They go in like direct. They don't go in at that weird 90-degree angle that those AMD AM4 CPUs go in. So all right, that's in. And then what we're going to do, this socket cover, leave this on. You don't have to remove this because when we put this on and when we start putting the lever down to apply pressure to close the ILM, this will automatically pop off. So we're going to demonstrate that now. And there we go. It comes off. Then we're just going to put that in, and now the CPU is secured. So we're going to set that to the side, and there we go. The CPU is in the socket. One thing about this Taichi motherboard, just like the Nova, the Taichi has a full backplate. Very nice. You can see it there. I need to remove the plastic covering, I guess, but yeah, let's remove that. So you got the plastic peel. And there is that black backplate. This is an EATX board, so it's because it's so wide, the motherboard extends beyond where the backplate is. But that's what it looks like on the back. So very nice, high quality feel. It's a very heavy motherboard. It's EATX and it's got a lot of metal. It's wide and it has a lot of metal. This is a heavy, heavy board. I'm also going to take this off the I/O plate on the back. It's just to show that. Put this over here, I guess. So on the back of it, you can see it has the USB 4 here, and then it has a bunch of USB Type A, some Lightning port Type A, and then Wi-Fi 7. It has a clear CMOS and a BIOS flashback button, and then it has a 5 gigabit LAN as well, just to kind of show that there. So you guys can see what it has. It has HDMI for the integrated graphics as well, and then optical audio is there as well. So this is a very nice board. Honestly, I really think, like, for $400, if you can find this discounted by like $50, like if you can find this for $399, this is probably the best choice because it has all the overclocking features, like the external E-clock. The reality is, if you really want to overclock X3D for better single-thread performance, one of the best ways to do that is to use the base clock, which we will be detailing in a future video. So stay tuned for that. I guess I'll take this off too. This has got a lot of these little plastic things on here. Okay. So that's in. Now we're going to put the memory in. So we're going to use DDR5 8000. The nice thing about this RAM does 8000 at 1.35 volts. Most DDR5 that runs at this sort of speed requires 1.4 volts, which means it will run hotter more quickly. Whereas this, because it's a lower voltage at 1.35, you get better margin. It'll run cooler, which means it's more likely to be stable. You'd be surprised how the temperature of your RAM can make or break the stability. So this is the G-Skill Trident Z5. That's what they look like. They're RGB. So we're going to put these in A2 and B2. You want to put them in until you hear the click.
Any good site for buying Windows key? It asks me to activate after I upgraded to 9800X3D.
You can, so there's a couple of ways you can reactivate it. You can reactivate it online through Microsoft's website. The easiest way is to use your phone, though. Call it, dial the number, and then have it send you a text message with the website. It's going to ask you to put in like I think a 16-digit number that you see on the screen. You type that in. It'll ask you how many PCs are you running. You'll say 1, and then it will activate it. That's the easiest way to do it. There's some other ways. Eventually, like if your old PC is offline long enough, it'll just activate it on its own. But the easiest thing to do is to like call, do the telephone one, and then have it send you a text message with the like to activate it from your phone. And then there's like I think it's like I forget how many numbers, but it's like the super long number that you have to type in. It's like 6 or 8 6-digit numbers, and you'll type them in one by one, and then it'll ask you like how many PCs are you using. You'll say 1, because if you say more than 1, it's going to not work because it's going to think that you need a volume license since you're swapping over from your old computer to that one. There is a PowerShell command that you can also use to activate Windows for free that you can get from a GitHub page. Yeah, there's that too. But what I would do is I would just try the call, get the text message, and type the 16 numbers in. That has always worked for me, and that is the easiest legit way to like keep your old key and transfer it over to your new motherboard. So that's, I mean, it's up to you, but that's what I would do. Have it send you the text message, type in the numbers, and then just answer 1 to the question about how many computers. Okay, so we've got the CPU in now. This thing can go somewhere over here. Now, we need to get this in the case. Just put that over there for now. Probably going to have to move this over here. I'll leave that as a group for now. Let's see. What is over here? No? Okay. I'm trying to think, should I put the power supply in first? Or, no, I guess we'll put the motherboard in. I need to determine which one of these is actually for the motherboard standoffs. What does it say? There's only 4. That's for the power supply. This is for a standoff. They actually give you an extra standoff. And there's a tool to tighten the standoffs. Those look like Those look like screws for the fans, which I think are already in there. And then I guess it's these. Not sure. I think this one. Oh. Okay. I got what? How many is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Does it say? It doesn't tell me how many are in there, but I guess I have to count them. What is this? 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't know. Let me just see. Because there's two of them that look exactly the same, except one I think is a little bit longer than the other one. Should have it right here. Flathead, hexagon, standoff, screw M3 5mm, CB5 10mm. I just need to know which one is for the motherboard. Oh. Doesn't actually say. Cable bar? What is that? Oh well, I'll just try the ones and see which ones work. I think it's this first one. I think it's going to be the first or the second one. Trying to look, how does that actually fit? Is that one? However, I do have these, so I can check to see which one matches this one. Oh, it's probably going to be the second one. Those are flat, actually, so maybe it is the first one. Let's try the first one. I wish they had like a little plastic thing to retain all of these. Okay, yeah, it's the first one. Okay. The first one's for the motherboard. That's good. Alright, so now we're going to put the motherboard in here. Actually, should I take this top off? I'll take the top off too. I do like that these panels on this NZXT case are completely toolless and very easy to remove. And the case is very lightweight. It feels sturdy. It has like a steel frame, but it is not like overly heavy. All right, it's in. I can see the standoffs clearly. So on this motherboard, or on this case, the middle standoff, the one right there, this one does not screw in. This one has it's got like a raised, like the head on it goes up through the motherboard instead of having a standoff that you'll screw a screw in there. Can you do a build with Lian Li? If I do, it's definitely going to be next year. We're pretty much maxed out on PC builds. There's literally no more funding. Now, I know some people did leave some super chats, and that will help for next year. But, yeah, we're pretty much maxed out. Thanks for the sub. Don't you want to test all the parts first? That's a good idea. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that's true. I'm just going to YOLO it and assume that everything works. But yeah, that's a good idea. Man, nothing beats building in a new case though. This case, there's not a speck of dust. There's not like any of these cables everywhere. There's so much space in here. Even with this EATX motherboard, there's so much space. I like this case. So far, my impressions of the case is good. My one pet peeve of the case, there's no reset button. But not a lot of people use reset buttons anymore. So, but it could have been a nice feature to like rewire it to an LED, like a RGB controller or whatever. So the lack of a reset button might be a deal breaker for some. I didn't realize there was no reset button before until after I bought it. As someone who literally built a PC yesterday, the flashlight is godlike. Yeah, it is. That's exactly why I'm using it. We got 2 more screws. All those are in. Yeah, we got 2 more. Because the board goes so far down, it recesses it all the way down. You have a lot of space in here. It's actually pretty good. Surprisingly spacious in here for a mid-tower. Okay, that's it. So we have the motherboard secured. RAM is already in. CPU's in. I guess we're ready to put the power supply in. I guess we'll do that next. Alright, Corsair. We're going with an NZXT case, and we're going with a Corsair power supply and G-Skill memory. So everything is so mishmashed. Alright, so in here we have a whole bunch of cables. There's a whole wad of cables. And a power cable. And then in here, they give you there's some power supply cables or screws there. And then some zip ties for cable management. A silica gel do not eat poison thing. And this is the power supply itself. It's an RM850. Alright, and now we're going to look at one of the unique features of this motherboard, and that is the fact that it mounts the power supply vertically. So here, it's the easiest way to show this. I guess I'll show it from this camera because it's going to go right there. So the power supply goes in like this. So the power supply fan needs to face the outer wall of the motherboard on the back side. So it's going to go like this. See that? So the fan is out here. Because the way it's going to work, when this is all said and done, this is going to go like this. And the fan is going to get air through this mesh. This is a mesh panel. So it's going to suck air in here and push it out the back. So that's going to result in very good cooling for the power supply. Very new, innovative design. However, I believe Fantex was the first case manufacturer to do that a number of years ago. So NZXT is going with this vertical mounted power supply for very good cooling for the power supply. This is very good because I'm the type of person who always puts the computer on the floor, on a carpeted floor. So you can imagine if the fan is down there, it's going to be sucking in, like it's going to be starving for air because the carpet is blocking the airflow. So putting it like this is very good. And that allows the motherboard to be higher up and further this way instead of like over here. So very interesting, innovative design from NZXT. They really maximized the space. Okay, so I'm trying to think like, what would be the easiest way? Should I just go ahead and, before I plug this in, maybe I should just plug the power cables in first. The ones that I'll actually use. So for example, we have EPS 12 volt. .24 pin. The ATX 24 pin. We have another
I am
EPS
getting
12
160 to 180
And then I
FPS in
guess the
town for
GPU.
Dragon's Dogma 2 with DLSS
We're gonna need
quality
a
and
SATA,
frame gen
I
on.
think.
Everything
I might
maxed
need a
out in
SATA.
4K
Just put this over
output
here.
on 9800 by 3D
And then we'll
and
just get the other
RTX
ones, I think, when we
4090.
get to them. So let's just plug these in for now. Just to get started. This is not an ATX 3.0 power supply. You're getting 160 to 180 in the town for Dragon's Dogma 2. What? That's, wow. What? Okay. Wow. Yeah, I do plan on retesting Dragon's Dogma 2. That was actually the first game on the list that I was going to retest. Yeah, that's a lot. I'm definitely going to have to check that out now. I was thinking about that game yesterday because I was trying to come up with a list of games I want to test with the CPU. Alright, so for the power supply, I went ahead and I plugged in the 24 pin. And then I guess we'll also plug in the EPS 12 volts. How is this going to go? It's going to go like that? Because we want the top ones. Okay. These are the primary power cables. So I'm just going to go ahead and figure out how I'm going to route these. Maybe need to get this out of the way. The nice thing about this can fit those longer power supplies as well because it has so much space over here. Okay, I think this is gonna go this way. Yeah, that'll go like that. Let's go ahead and secure this to the case first. I'm gonna need like a bag or something. These are all falling out left and right. This was literally you 45 minutes ago. Oh wow, the same exact motherboard? I feel like a lot of people waited for this type of CPU to do their upgrade. Hence why this feels like Christmas in November. For those of you that celebrate Christmas. This feels like Christmas, man. PS5 Pro and a new gaming PC, like on the same day. That's Christmas. If that's not Christmas, I don't know what is. Just saying. As a PC enthusiast, PS5 Pro and 9800 XT launch on the exact same day. That's straight up Christmas in November right there. Okay, so that's in. Now I'm going to go ahead and route these. This needs to go, I guess, this way. Man, it is roomy up here. There is so much room in here. That was the smoothest, easiest, like, wow. I didn't have to do anything to route that. Man, that was easy. I actually really like this case. The cable routing is really good. They got these cable guides over here. These cable guides for, like, the cable. Now, if I wanted to put a 3.5 inch, though, I think this is going to have to go like this. So I'm probably going to route it this way. Yeah. Something like that. I'm probably going to have to put them in the Velcro. It does have these really good Velcro straps as well to secure the cable. That's really good. .24 pin is in. That's in. That was easy. How would I route this though? I guess like that. I guess this would go like this too. Man, that is some good cable management. This case has some really good cable management. Wow. That's good. That's probably the cleanest I've ever done cable management in a long time. That was easy. I guess, yeah, you know what? I should put the front panel stuff in too, instead of keeping this in this plastic bag. What do we got here? What is this? Oh, it has a fan splitter. I want to install the Montech fans. So I don't actually want to use the fans that come with the case. I guess what we'll do is we'll just verify that they work. So we'll just leave them for now, and then I'll swap them out after we do the initial post. This is the front audio. That can typically come through here. What would be the best way to route that? I guess through this? Ooh, I like how that routes through there. That is nice. These route so well. Okay, I'm not sure what to do with all these. I'm just gonna throw all this over here so I don't have to, so I can put the case on its side. All right, hold up. Let me make this a little bit larger so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just gonna put the front header, or I guess the audio here. It goes this way. So you got front onboard audio, or front panel audio. And then this is USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, I believe, or Gen 2 by 1. And that's going to go here. And it goes this way. That goes like that. Right? Yep. Okay, that's in. And then the 3.1 or the 3.0. There's actually two of them. There's one that goes up here, and there's the lower one. So I guess I will put this one here. I wonder if the graphics card is going to get in the way of that, though. You know what? Maybe I'm going to put this down here instead, because the Taichi has two of them. It has the lower one, so what I'll probably do, I'll route it from behind. I'll have it go this way. Why is this caught on this? There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's better. That way the graphics card doesn't get in the way for that. Okay, this is front panel stuff, the power button, all that good stuff. Except there's no reset button for some reason. So they are... Wait, is there a reset button? Power? No, it looks like they've got power and power LED. There's no hard drive and there's no reset for the NZXT case. Oh well, that's kind of... That's lame, but okay. That's like the only thing I don't like about the case so far. And then the fan, we'll just plug this one on, whatever, just pick one of these. There. Alright, then we'll just cable manage this. I'll figure this out later, I guess. Kind of shove all of this stuff down here so it's not in the way. Okay. Okay, all these fans, these fan wires, they need to go. It needs to be a nicer way to do that. Go right here. There we go. That's better. Yeah, all this stuff, I'll have to clean this, cable manage all of that up. Just not in the way. Alright, so I got front panel, front audio, USB-C, USB-A. All that stuff is in. Now I got to put the 360 AIO. Well, now I got to put this on there. The Deep Cool LT720. Now, okay, this is where I got to figure out what is the easiest way to get this mounted. Like this? Probably like that. Yeah. It does look like it's only really going to go like one way. Because the cable guide, there's only like one thing there. Okay. So I need to find the screws for this. Is it these really, really long ones? Those are really... Huh. I hope these aren't only supposed to be used with NZXT's radiator. Doesn't really say. Let's see. Oh, maybe... I'm supposed to use those? No, I think it's supposed to use the NZXT ones. I'm not sure which screws are supposed to be used for the radiator. Hey, thanks for the sub. I think it's supposed to be the long one. Probably is. Oh. We got another sub. Thanks for the sub. Yeah, I'm not sure. These look like they're really wide for that. Well, I guess I'll just try it and see if it fits. No, that's too... This is too large. I'm not sure which screws I'm supposed to be using for the radiator. Is it this one? Okay, those fit. Maybe these. But these don't seem like they're that long. These are actually the same ones that I use for the standoff. Alright, maybe it's these. Alright, let's try it. I'm gonna put it in like this. Oh, you know what? It does have to be wider, actually. It is gonna have to be one of those wide screws because those are the ones that actually fit. Maybe it's this one? That seems like that's too big. Maybe I'm supposed to be using a different type of screw that came with the deep cool. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Maybe it's actually inside my old case. No? Could it be this one? Hold on, did I put those screws somewhere else? Maybe I put them somewhere else. I forgot where I put them. Alright, yeah, this one seems like it fits. This one actually will work. It's kind of weird that the NZXT doesn't have these type of screws, though. And even then, I don't know if this will... Yeah, that actually has the right clearance. Alright, I'm going to have to use these. Should probably be doing this on its side so it's easier. Okay. That's in. That's in. I need 2 more. Those aren't even... Those didn't even come with the case. So actually, I wonder if I'm supposed to be using these. Because those have a wide... You know what? Maybe it's actually this second screw. Let's see. Maybe it's this one. See, these don't have a very wide... Ah, I think it is this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. That's the screw that I'm supposed to be using. Okay, well, I'll just swap this then. That's kind of misleading because this screw, the type of screw that it wants me to use for the AIO is this really, really small one, which has like a very narrow head. So it's like, I didn't think this is the right one. Because it doesn't look like it has enough area to hold the radiator. Okay. Okay, I'm back in business. I was confused. I was like, well, where's the screw for the radiator supposed to be? You tried different Arctic Silver? You're talking about what? Thermal paste? Even though these screws didn't come with the case, these screws actually are better than those. I think those are the ones from my old case. Alright, I'll put 2 in the middle. You're still using the paste that came factory installed on the AIO, almost 8 years. But you have an AIO that's 8 years old. What is that, a Corsair? Okay, let me see. How does the top go on here with that radiator? I want to see what the clearance is like with those screws. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so let's put this back on its side. Okay, NZXT really should have included some kind of better bag. Like, should have had these screws in bags or something instead of this plastic. This is very messy once you start tearing open the plastic bags. I'll take this off again. Well, I can leave that on now. Okay, the 360 AIO is mounted. Now I just need to mount it to the actual CPU. So, yeah, all of these fans need to get out of the way. This is going to be CPU fan. CPU fan is going to go here. Okay, that's CPU fan. Okay, we'll manage that out of the way. And then the pump is going to also go on there. What is this? Oh, this is the RGB. The RGB can go over here. I'll do that later. All right, time to get the mount for this. It's gonna be. I don't think you guys can actually even see it because it's so. Hold on, let me see if I can get this over there a little bit. Okay. $70 degrees is nothing. I wouldn't worry about that. Oh, close to 80. I wouldn't worry about that. That's how you can tell it's a CPU intense game, though. Okay, to mount the deep cool, and for most AIOs, you got to remove the stock retention brackets for the stock cooler for like a Wraith Prism or a Wraith Max. So you got to take these off and then make sure you don't lose those. Ideally, put those in the motherboard box so they don't get lost. And then what we're going to install is the actual deep cool mounting hardware. This differs depending on the socket. But for AM5 and AM4, the instructions are identical. I hope I'm doing this correct. It's been a while since I've done this Deep Cool 360 AIO install. Okay, that's right. Okay, time for the thermal paste. So I don't have any thermal paste on here. Make sure you remove the plastic. And that's really nice clean copper. Time for the thermal paste. Isn't Deep Cool banned? I think so. Alright, time for the thermal paste, the super high-end stuff. This is the industrial stuff. One little blob is all you need. See, I put a little dot. All I did is a little dot. Just dab it. Dot it. That's it. Just a little dot. Tiny little dot. That's all you need. Okay. Here we go. I can't see where I'm going. It's too dark. Okay. Why is this cover on? I can't see. I'm like, where's the screw supposed to be? I do a star pattern. So I do one here. Now we're going to go diagonal. This case is very tall, so there's a lot of room up top. Let's do this with a hand. You don't want to over tighten this stuff. When it gives out and it's harder for you to turn it, you stop. Okay, that's in. Okay, we got the deep cool on. Now the little RGB shroud thing. That's gonna go like this, I think. Deep cool. And what do I do with all this stuff? Oh, the RGB. Why is this stuff all like... I don't even know what was in a twisty tie. How did it get in there? It looks like you can daisy chain this. You can daisy chain this with some other thing. So I could use my... when we install the Montec fans in the front later, that could be used that way. So that is actually really nice. Alright, I plugged it into the RGB. I'm going to route this over the RAM so it's not in the way. Get this out of the way. Okay. Okay. Deep Cool is back in business. All that stuff's good. Okay, what do I need to do? Oh yeah, the fans down here. I want to put some fans down here. And I was thinking how about these Corsair fans, RGB. Let's put some RGB in here. How about some RGB? Corsair and NZXT. It's all mishmash. We got Deep Cool, Corsair, NZXT, Montec, ASRock, Ryzen, Power Color, Corsair power supply. Nothing matches. It's awesome. This is called the most hodgepodge mishmash build ever. Look at that. It's perfect. We're going to put these down here. Man, this has got Corsair's like quirky, random, like special proprietary RGB cable, which has nothing to do with ARGB. This is going to be confusing. Corsair's fans are going to face the floor. We're going to put all three of them down here. Down there. Something like this. Corsair. And then more Corsair. This one will go like this. Corsair number 2. This one will go right here. Corsair number 3. You guys can't even see what I'm doing, so maybe I should do that. There you go. Corsair number 1. Corsair number 2. Corsair number 3. Is that right? There we go. Okay, we got Corsair fans as intake on the bottom. Corsair. How do I... Oh, it has rubber grommets down there. Okay. Wait, do they include their own screws? Oh, that's what these NZXT screws are for. They're actually for the fan thing, aren't they? Is that what this is for? You know what? I don't know. I think I'm just going to use the ones that I thought I'm supposed to use. The standard case fan screws. I'll figure that out later. We're just going to use these regular ones. The ones that come with the fans. Okay. Yeah, that fits. That works. No need to use those weird ones. I don't even know how those are supposed to even fit. Oh, I see why they want you to use the NZXT one, because the NZXT one I think has a wider head, so it'll cover the rubber dome on the bottom of the case here. But these work fine. I just didn't want to tear up another plastic bag that you can't seal. I'll have to get an actual bag later for those. So now, not only do I have RGB, I have ARGB, the 3-pin 5-volt ARGB. I also have this non-standard Corsair proprietary type of RGB. That's going to be fantastic figuring out how that's supposed to work. What are we talking about? I game on a 6700 XT. My 3090 is used for AI upscaling. Okay. So you have two different computers then? Is that right? Why is this super wobbly? This last Corsair fan, it's like so wobbly. I keep wanting to play like Dragon's Dogma 2 right now, but it's like I gotta power through this build. Okay, all those fans are in. Is there like a mesh thing that's not removable? Okay. Okay, thankfully there's this Corsair fan hub. So I'll be using this for the Corsair. Is there a magnet? No. It's not magnetic. It requires SATA power. So I gotta plug all these fans in here. I gotta plug their RGB. RGB number 1, RGB number 2, RGB number 3. You can fit up to 4 RGB. It's just RGB. It doesn't do any of the fan stuff. And then we got, what is this? This is the SATA. Oh, I need this for the power supply. We're going to need SATA to power this. Okay, we got power for the SATA, for the... Oh, and there's a USB 2. And then all three of them still need to have their fan headers plugged into the motherboard. Wow, man, this Corsair stuff. Corsair's making this way more complicated. I don't even know if I need to plug this in, but I'll just do it anyway. Okay. USB for Corsair is plugged into the motherboard. I guess just hide this down here for now. And then I need all three of these. Where's the third one at? All three of these need to go to the computer. They need to go to the motherboard. Probably down here. One's gonna go on the water pump. Actually, you know what I should do? I should plug the 3 fans from the front onto the water pump one. Down here. There's like I think this one's for water pump. I'll put those 3 on that one because they're on a splitter. And then these 3 individual Corsair fans will be on 3 individual ones at the bottom of the motherboard. Just to kind of show people what that looks like. Down in here, gotta plug all 3 of these in. 1. This is where the headlamp that I'm wearing comes in very, very handy when trying to plug all this in. Okay, so that's all in. You can just shove all that stuff back down there. Okay. Okay. Now, I think all I need is the graphics card. Oh, yeah, the little speaker. The case speaker, so that it beeps. Gotta plug that in there, that's in. Now we'll get our beeps. And now the graphics card. 1, 2, 3, this one, this one. That part's not toolless, and this is a different type of screw. These are very stiff. Okay. Now I need to get the graphics card. I guess I'll go with this one. This hasn't been used in a while. For the graphics card, we're going to go with the Power Color Red Devil. The Red Devil Limited Edition 7900 XTX. It comes in this fancy briefcase. It's literally in a briefcase with a handle. Alright, I need to get the power cables for the graphics card. Okay, what do we got in here? We got some really fancy stuff in this briefcase. There's a pamphlet for the Power Color Red Devil. 24 gigabytes of VRAM. What's in here? I don't even know what's in here. I don't even think I think I know what's in there. I just close that back up. Anti-sag bracket, which I'll probably need. How high can this go in here? Oh yeah, that'll fit. Ooh, there's a really nice place to put that too. Hey, thanks for the sub. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just leave the anti-sag bracket like that for now. I don't know why there's two of them. Oh, for dual GPU. It has dual GPU. Okay, it's got some millennial eye or something from like Yu-Gi-Oh! It has the Eye of Sauron from the Rings of Power. I don't know why that's in here. Then it's got like this Red Devil stuff. It's got like all this Red Devil stuff in here. And then in here, maybe, I don't know. It's like we're doing an unboxing of the Power Color Red Devil Limited Edition. Man, this is like really in here. I almost completely forgot that I even had this GPU. It's just been sitting in here for a long time. Okay. Power Color Red Devil. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what we got in here. Man, Power Color Red Devil Limited Edition. Okay, this is it. What was that? Something fell? Oh, the little HDMI cover fell off? There it is. Oh, it's a DisplayPort one. Okay, so this is the graphics card that we're going to be using. The Power Color Red Devil Limited Edition 7900 XTX. It's got the Radeon logo there. It's got dual BIOS right there. It has BIOS switch. This is the limited edition. Mine is number 984 out of 1500. Full metal backplate. Super chonky, heavy, big card. Triple 8-pin right there. Like a 3090 Ti. Yeah, this thing is massive. This thing is massive. Thick boy. Thick boy. Okay, it's got those fans with the rings on the outside for better static pressure. Alright. So I think how we're going to put this in, this cable is going to have to move. Alright, that's in. The clearance between that and the M.2 heatsink is really close, though. It's real close. It's like razor thin. Okay. The Power Color has an overclock BIOS. And because we're going to be GPU limited a lot with this CPU, because this CPU is so powerful that the Power Color is going to be the limiting factor in the performance. Okay, now I need to plug in the power cables and clean up that mess in the back. And boy, does this case feel heavier now that that graphics card's in there. This feels heavy. Gotta plug these power cables in the power supply for the Power Color GPU, and then we gotta route this through here. I'm probably gonna come through the bottom. I'm going to have to use the daisy chain on one of them because this is an 850 watt and we ran out of power cables. This only comes with two PCIe power cables for this 850 watt. Why is this not connecting? Okay. But because it is a 350 watt card, 3 of these is enough, or 2. 1 on a daisy chain is fine. This one will be like that. All right. So that's in. All right, I'm gonna try to like do a bunch of cable management real quick to hide this big mess that I have back here. Okay. And then the front. Let me make sure I got my... We got the pump. Oh, the pump is not plugged in. Good thing I decided to look at that. That would have been bad. Alright, so the pump is plugged in. We got everything plugged in now. Okay. And I'll get this stuff out of the way. Get the power color briefcase out of the way. I think we're ready to turn this thing on. Oh. I do have the power color does include a really nice anti-sag bracket. So I could put this here. Because there's so much space, I can actually use this. Just line it up with the GPU and put it in there. Let's do that now. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Time to turn this on. Oh, I guess I'll move it this way a little bit. See how the lighting will look. We'll probably switch this over to Montech here in a little bit. These the front fans. Just want to verify that everything's going to work. Where's the power cable? I forgot the power cable. Okay. I'm going to have to plug this in down here. Hopefully this will reach. Okay, power's in. I need the mouse. Not really, but I kind of need the mouse. Keyboard. we got keyboard. Plug that in right there. And the monitor. Okay. Power's on. We have lights. Here we go. I don't know if it's going to show up on your camera, but the code 15 should be on. Oh, code 51. Oh, it's actually already doing stuff. Okay. Let me get the capture card on. Yeah, it did a double post. I do have the speaker in. Okay, all these fans are spinning. It has got really good airflow. You guys can see the bottom fans from the Corsair fans. There's the post beep. We are in. All right. Let me switch this over so you guys can see. There we are. Why is it? Oh, because the... Here, let's just make this larger, I guess. Anyway, we're in, guys. It's alive. That was pretty quick, too. All right, here we go. Check it out. X870E Taichi. BIOS version 3.08. I do want to mention something. If you're buying a brand new motherboard, as long as you buy X870 or X870E, your Ryzen 7 9800X3D will work with all the BIOSes on X870E and X870. So what that means, is you don't have to update the BIOS. This is not like X670, B650, X8 or X670E, where you need to be on a BIOS that supports this CPU. All of the newer motherboards automatically support this CPU. Okay. Let's see what to do here to go through this. We've got the Ryzen 7 9800X3D 8-core. Max speed is 5.25 gigahertz. Total memory capacity 48 gigabytes. Now it's running the stock default 5600. We're going to load the Expo profile here in a little bit, but just to verify that everything works, I want to check my fans. My front fans are spinning. My bottom fans are spinning. So we got intake from here, we got intake from down here, and we got the exhaust up top from the 360 AIO up here. So really, really nice computer. This is a perfect gaming build for someone who is upgrading from any DDR4 based platform. Unless you're already on like a 13 or 14th gen with a DDR4 motherboard, you can still benefit from an upgrade, but it won't be as huge of an upgrade compared to going from, say, any AM4 or any 10th gen Intel or 11th gen Intel or anything older than that. This is going to be an amazing upgrade. Yeah, AMD is actually the best one for Adobe. If you're going Adobe, you need to get a Ryzen 9 9950X. Or you want to wait for the 9950X3D. But this is working pretty good. Alright, let me do something here. Let's go and check this out. So we have, interesting, this has a TDP mode. All right, in the Taichi, actually, let me get this out of the way for a while. Let me shrink this down a bit. Or, well, let's move this camera completely out of the way. Okay. All right, here we go. So in the Taichi BIOS, when you go to OC Tweaker, if you want to load the XMP or Expo, you're going to go to where it says DRAM profile configuration. You're going to hit enter on the keyboard, and then in here, the really nice thing about ASRock, unlike the others, ASRock will show you the JDEC profile and any Expo or XMP profile. They'll show you all the info on this, very easy to see. The other thing really nice about ASRock will tell you what your RAM is. It will, yes, we know it's G-Skill, but it will also reveal whether or not it is Hynix or Samsung or Micron. They will tell you that before you load the XMP or Expo. They will also tell you if it is single rank or dual rank. Because this says one package rank, this means single rank. We talked about this yesterday on the last episode of Tech Thursdays. So we are dealing with a single rank setup. So I have two 24 gigabytes. So I have a total of 48 gigabytes of RAM. And you can see in here, the RAM has two profiles. One is the stock JDEC 5600 with CAS latency of 44. Then there is an XMP profile for DDR5 8000 with CAS latency 40. So we're going to go ahead and go in here. The way you load this, you go up to where it says auto, or you just simply select the profile setting. And then in here, after hitting enter, there's two. You can see the nice thing about ASRock, they actually let you choose the JDEC if you want to. The others, it's basically like they'll load JDEC, and then once you load XMP, you can't really easily get back to JDEC without like manually setting it or disabling the AI. If it's ASUS, it's like AI tuner, whatever they call it. MSI has their own. MSI has AXMP or Expo, and then I forget what Gigabyte calls theirs. I think Gigabyte's is literally just either XMP or Expo. They don't even care. Oh, Asus will use DOCP, Dynamic Overclocking Profile for AMD. But we're going to go ahead and load XMP1. You notice now it is selected up here. Then when we hit Escape, now it has automatically changed it to 8000. ASRock has also set the voltages automatically. So they're going to do 1.4 for the VDDIO. I don't actually know if it needs to be that high. To me, that seems pretty high. But they are telling us the formula for the bus signaling from VDDIO. VDDIO must be greater than VDDP plus 0.1 volt. VDDIO plus 0.1 equals VDD underscore SOC. So to me, that's pretty high. That's I kind of feel like this probably doesn't need to be that high. I'm just going to let it go for now. We can tune that later. And then 1.35 volts is the voltage that it automatically selected from the XMP profile. Then it automatically selected the Infinity Fabric at 2 gigahertz. If you guys remember from yesterday's math lesson on Tech Thursdays, we were showing 6000 and 8000. In both cases, the Infinity Fabric always runs at 2 gigahertz. The difference now is that the U clock is running at mem clock divided by 2. It automatically did this. We don't have to change anything. And then it also says VSOC 1.25 volts. Now, the reality is this I don't think needs to be that high. I'm going to actually drop that to 1.2. And the reason why this doesn't need to be that high is because not only is the Infinity Fabric only running at 2 gigahertz, the U clock is also running at 2 gigahertz. And you don't really need that much VSOC voltage. However, I want to check something. So it did say that this needs to be VDD SoC, or this needs to be the value plus 0.1 must be greater than VDD SoC. And in this case, it is. Because if VDD SoC is 0.2 or 1.2, this is 1.4. This is actually 0.2 above that. So this fits that equation. That fits the equation. So this will work. The other thing I want to look at is the timing configuration. The bus timings. So the only thing that ASRock manually selected in here, they have automatically selected 40 ohms for the drive strength. This is the secret setting menu to allow somebody who wants to run 192 gigabytes or 128 gigabytes of RAM in a stable configuration at up to DDR5 6000. If you're curious about that, check out the video I did back in January of this year on how to actually run 192 gigabytes at 6000. So we're not going to cover that here, but that is how you do it. That's the secret menu. So now that we have all the voltages set, all we have to do is basically hit F10 on the keyboard, and it's going to automatically set all these values. So now it's going to go into memory training. So I guess I'll put that over there for now until that comes back. All right, well, let me see what it's doing here. Code 15. Code 15 means memory training. You have to wait and let it do its thing to get this to run stable. So now we just wait. I don't have any water in here. I'm super thirsty after all this talking. Alright, well, while that's going, I'm going to go get some water. This is a very modern case. It looks like a monolithic design. Alright, where are we at? Alright, it's coming up. It's doing numbers. We're coming in. Alright, there we go. We're in. Okay. There it is. DDR5 8000. And there you go. Now the other thing to show people, if they're curious, alright, let me make this go away again. Or you know what? Just make it really small, I guess. Okay. So for those of you that want to look at the overclock settings, so we've overclocked the RAM to 8000. Now, let's look at the advanced menu. Advanced menu has AMD overclocking. It's going to give you a warning. Warning. Damage caused by use of your AMD processor outside specification or in excess of factory settings are not covered under your AMD product warranty and may not be covered by your system manufacturer's warranty. So just remember, changing the settings in here in this specific menu could, if you don't know what you're doing, you could cause a lot of problems like instability and potentially corrupting stuff. If you're messing with memory in particular, because the memory stuff is in here, like the DDR and infinity frequency dividers and all this stuff is in here as well. But what we want to look for is Precision Boost Overdrive. Precision Boost Overdrive. In here, the default is auto. We're going to go ahead and set this to... So, okay, let me tell you guys, if you guys don't want to think about it, you just want to basically one button overclock, you go in here and you change this to enabled. And then you F10 and you let it boot up, and then now you have overclocked the CPU. Now, if you want to tweak it manually, you go to advanced. Here's the advanced menu. PBO limits. The PBO limits, the default auto, is the values set by AMD. Now, if you want to overclock by raising the power limit from PBO, you will set this to motherboard. Motherboard will use ASRock. In this case, we're on an ASRock motherboard. So this will allow ASRock to set this will let the Taichi tell the processor, hey, you are going to run at a higher power limit because I have a very high-end VRM. So I want you to run more powerful than before. This is basically saying go Super Saiyan 3. So if you don't want to do motherboard and you just want to leave it on the auto AMD limits, you change it to auto. Now, the next thing, Precision Boost Overdrive Scalar Control. We can leave it on auto, or we can set it to manual. Manual will basically allow us to specify a multiplier scalar which will override. And the very nice thing about ASRock, ASRock gives very good descriptions on what these things actually do. Overrides the AMD default silicon health management to potentially achieve higher sustained frequencies. This can go from 1x all the way to 10x maximum power. So this will change the aggressiveness of the voltage during the boost. So if you do not feel comfortable doing this, you can leave it at just auto. The other thing in here is the CPU boost clock override. This can either tell the system, I want the CPU to clock higher, meaning positive, or lower, slower, meaning negative. So in this case, the default that we saw is 5.25 gigahertz, or let's just say 5,250 megahertz for the 9800 X3D. So if we want to make the maximum speed faster than this, we'll go back in there and we will set this to enabled positive. And now a new menu shows up. Maximum CPU boost clock override. So the default, it's going to add 25 megahertz. These values are in megahertz. So let's do 999. Let's increase it by 999. Let's see what happens when I press enter. Invalid input, auto adjusted. So it automatically changed it to 200. So the maximum value that this allows you to input is 200 megahertz. So by doing this, we're telling the system run at 5,450 megahertz. That's about 5.5 gigahertz. So that is what the PBO does here. Now, in order for this to actually work properly, or to actually achieve this higher speed, you're going to need to combine this with potentially either a higher scalar overdrive or with something called curve optimizer or curve shaper. So these two settings down here, curve optimizer is available to everyone that has a AMD CPU from the past 5 years, I believe. Curve shaper is available to those of you who have a Ryzen 9000 series CPU. So you basically have to have Zen 5 if you want access to curve shaper. So what we're going to do here, I want 200 more, so I want 5.5 gigahertz, and then what I want is I want curve optimizer to run on a all core, and we will do negative, and I will do 10. So I'm going to apply an undervolt. This is going to undervolt. Negative 10 is 10 is not a voltage. 10 is a vector magnitude. Those of you who studied linear algebra in school understand what a vector is, or a ray, for those of you that are familiar with something called ray tracing, although this is unrelated to ray tracing. The ray is essentially a vector which is basically a line with a directional component. The directional component, the length of that is going to be the magnitude. So we're going to adjust the magnitude of the vector in the negative 10 direction. So we're going to shift the entire voltage frequency curve down by 10. That is what this is doing. So this is effectively, the TLDR is this is undervolting the CPU so that we can get more aggressive boost margin at less heat and less voltage. So now let's look at the curve shaper. Curve shaper. This is the new overclocking feature for Zen 5. And the 9800X3D is a Zen 5 CPU, therefore it inherits the ability of curve shaper. So here we have 5 regions of the curve. We have minimum, low, medium, high, and maximum. And then for each 5 region, we have 3 temperature ranges. Low, which is 0. Thanks for the sub. Much appreciated. Medium, which is basically around 50 degrees Celsius. And then we have high, which is around more like 80 degrees Celsius. So for minimum, we will leave it alone. Low, we will leave it alone. Medium frequency. Medium frequency means any frequency from 4.5 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz. So this will be Cinebench or multi-thread or DaVinci Resolve or rendering videos or Prime 95 or any sort of multi-threaded benchmark that fully loads the CPU. The CPU will run typically in the medium frequency range from 4.5 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the high temperature to enable, and we're going to say -5 on the magnitude. We're going to undervolt even further to get even more boost margin under full all-core workloads when we are running the CPU at around 80 degrees Celsius. Also, 50 degrees Celsius, we also want -5. And then for low temperature, this is basically 0. We don't need to do anything. All right, high frequency. High frequency is also known as gaming range. So, high frequency will affect gaming performance. Let me repeat that again. High frequency will impact gaming performance. This is for lightly threaded workloads running at 5 gigahertz to 5.5 gigahertz. Those are the typical frequency ranges while playing games. So, medium frequency. We want to put enable positive. Actually, no. Enable, let's do... I don't know how the CPU will perform, so I'm going to guess. We're just going to do -5. And then high temperature, enable -5. All right, maximum frequency. This is going to be the F max. This is going to be around 5.5 gigahertz or beyond. For this, we want stability. So at low temperature, I want to enable +5. At medium temperature, enable +5. And at high temperature, enable +5. Why am I overvolting? Why am I overvolting? Because the maximum frequency, typically, since we have overclocked by 200 megahertz, usually you need more voltage to run at higher speed. So because we put a -10, I've already undervolted the entire frequency curve. But with Curve Shaper, I can negate some of that negative undervolting by applying a positive vector magnitude at the upper bound of the curve. So in this case, the maximum frequency, the cutoff point, I want to reduce the aggressiveness of my undervolt. In fact, I could actually go with +10, and then we'll leave this one at +5, because this will negate the undervolt to better ensure the stability at very lightly thread. We're talking like single thread instantaneous boost, so that we ensure stability of the system. So this gives you guys an idea of how overclocking would look like on a 9800X3D. So this will improve the Cinebench score. This will improve the gaming performance in CPU-bound games. And this will improve the single thread performance as well as ensure stability at idle, so it does not crash due to too much of a negative curve optimizer offset. So that, I hope that makes sense for those of you that are curious to figure out how to get better performance. The easiest way to find the 2 best cores is to download Hardware Info 64 and let it tell you which ones are the best ones. Or you can just open up CPU-Z. Okay, another thing I want to say is everyone's CPU is going to be slightly different. So the way they overclock are all going to be slightly different. Some people are going to have golden samples. Some people are going to have like average overclockers. Some are going to have like the dud. You know, some are going to get unlucky and they got a very leaky CPU. So they're going to need more aggressive voltages. So you just kind of have to play around with it and see what it does. But this gives you guys an idea. Like if you want to get better performance, this is how you do it. And it's not that hard. If you guys want a better explanation of this, check out the video I did. I did an overclocking guide for the 9950X that goes in depth on Curve Shaper. Okay, the last thing I will show is, where is that at? So in here, AMD, is it CBS? No, I think it's PBS. Yeah. So, okay, the ASRock Taichi has one final feature to allow overclocking, which will typically improve the single thread performance. It is a secret menu item that is hidden from most people. It is not in the overclocking menu. It is actually in the AMD platform BIOS settings menu. So in here, you will go to the very bottom folder, this directory called AMD Common Platform Module. In here, if you have a ASRock Taichi, there will be a special menu item called Base Clock Control Mode, BCLK. This is the base clock. If you have a different motherboard, you may not have this feature. Only the Taichi, as far as I know, when it comes to ASRock, the Taichi has this secret menu item. So in here, this is going to adjust the B clock by either synchronizing everything to a external reference clock or dual external reference clocks. So we're going to select the third option here. So this one, I think, do they have a description? They don't have a description, but basically what this does, when it says CPU clock overclocking, comma, PCIe equals 100, this means that the SoC will run at a reference clock of 100 megahertz, and the CCD, where the cores reside with the 3D V-cache, will run at its own independent reference clock, also known as an external clock generator. So here we have both clocks. This one is basically disabled, but we don't want to change that. But here it is. The CPU base clock, also known as base clock overclocking. Increasing the base clock will increase the internal CPU clock speed. It only affects the clock speed of CPU and memory. Now, the one thing that people will need to test is whether or not the RAM is actually overclocked by changing this. Because according to ASRock's description, adjusting this 100 megahertz will not only overclock the CPU, but it will overclock the memory. So if that's the case, we would need to reduce the memory speed manually to get it to run back at the original speed that we specified. But this requires some testing in the field to determine whether it actually does that. From my experience using it, it doesn't seem like it changes the memory speed. So like for example, if we do 101, so I increase it by like 1 megahertz. So if I go back out here, whoops. If we go back out here, the memory is still showing up at 8,000. This should actually go up. But what you can do is, if it is actually overclocking the RAM, you would have to come in here and you'd have to lower the RAM speed so that it still ends up around 8,000, if that makes sense. So this is something that I don't expect a lot of people to do, because it's very much a niche overclocking technique. It's an old school technique for getting better single thread performance. Only a few motherboards have this feature. The Taichi, as far as I know, is the only ASRock motherboard that has this. The Nova does not have this. The Steel Legend does not have this. If you're on Asus, only the Strix-E and the Hero have this feature. The ProArt does not have this. None of the other Asus boards have this. MSI, I know the Godlike has it. The Ace has it. I don't know if the Carbon has this feature. If somebody out there has the Carbon, it would be nice to know, to confirm 100% whether or not it actually has this feature. And then for Gigabyte, the Master supposedly has this feature, and the Extreme AI Top has this feature. So it's typically reserved for the highest end motherboards from all the different brands. The Carbon has it. Okay, that's excellent news. That's very good. That means the Carbon, the Strix-E, and the Taichi are the 3 least... Well, I guess the Master, assuming the new Master has it too. Those are the least expensive ways to get this feature. But this would require some testing. I'll do some testing with this offline to figure out if it's actually affecting the RAM. But otherwise, for most people, you don't have this feature, so you wouldn't use it. And most of the overclocking potential that you'll get is from PBO. From all the stuff that we looked at here, everybody's CPU is different, so you guys are going to have to tune this on your own to figure out what actually works best in terms of like the undervolt and the curve shaper values. They vary per CPU. Now, obviously, this CPU that I'm using is brand new. I've never actually used it before. This is the first day I've actually opened it out of the box, so I have no idea how it behaves. So I'm just going off of what I used on my 9700X, and this is the value that I used, and this worked pretty well. So that pretty much covers the overclocking piece. For those of you that are curious and have been requesting how to do this, I just figured I'd go ahead and show it. But that's pretty much it. And that's the build. Let's go ahead and zoom out of this a little bit. Alright, well that's the build. The NZXT, very roomy, tall case. The floor goes all the way down. There's a lot of ample space here. You know, the GPU, the RAM, there's a lot of Z height here. It's very wide. So overall, this is a very nice... I wanted a case that had the ability to float, like push the air this way. So, you know, that's for the 360 I/O to exhaust. That's very good. I have the 9950X. I'm streaming on the 9950X right now. Does anyone know if the Taichi fits in a LAN? Yeah, you're going to have to ask someone else. I can tell you the NZXT H7 Flow, this fits EATX flawlessly. So really nice case. It's also not super, like, long. This case is not super long. It's relatively short, but it's very tall. It's tall and short, but it's not one of those dumb aquarium cases that I can't stand that are all like glass like this, that don't have proper intake flow. We'll be testing it tomorrow. Well, actually, I'll be testing it on the weekend probably. I need to do a formal overclock video. Assuming this 8000 kit is running stable, it most likely will work on this board. So we're running 8000. I gotta find an SSD and get Windows on here so I can actually start doing some benchmarks and stuff and start doing like live streams with this CPU. But yeah, this is gonna be it for the stream. The gaming. This is the new gaming case. All the computers that I've put together in the past year are all like workstation, high-end, like productivity things. This is the first actual gaming PC that I have built all year. Every computer that I've built, whether it's Threadripper, 9950X, Intel Core Ultra, all those CPUs were meant for productivity because of the multi-thread. This thing is all about gaming, all about efficiency and speed. And now that overclocking is fully unlocked on X3D, this is the first time that we can unleash the full gaming potential of a CPU. So definitely well worth the wait. Alright guys, that's going to be it. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I got to clean a lot of this stuff up, but I'm pretty satisfied with this case. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it at first, but it has actually, it has done pretty good. It can fit my 360 AIO. I can finally use my 360 AIO. So we're going to probably keep this computer like this for a while and do a lot of content with it and overclock it with the 360 AIO. So that's going to be it for the stream. Again, if you guys like this sort of content, do get subscribed to the channel. It does help me out. And also like the video. Like I saw people in the chat saying like the video. Yeah, if you want to see more content, if you want to see this channel grow, do get subscribed, do like the video. If you want to help fund these sort of projects, like build videos and things like this, you can go ahead and join the Patreon. But that's pretty much going to be it. I don't like to nag people or anything like that, so if you don't feel like you have to donate or join Patreon or anything like that. It's if you really like the content and you really want to see more of the guides and build videos like this and the live stream content, because I think a lot of people really enjoyed the Monster Hunter Wilds live stream series, kind of like a mini series that I did last weekend, testing a whole bunch of different computers. I am not actively streaming on Twitch. I used to, but I don't actually use Twitch anymore. So you don't have to, if you want to follow on Twitch, you can. Sometimes I will stream on Twitch. Sometimes I will actually stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So if you want to follow me on there, go ahead. That's fine. Yeah, I see people subscribing now. But thanks for the subs, guys. I appreciate it. But that's it. We're going to go ahead and test this. I'm going to test this tomorrow, probably. I also do need to cover the PS5 Pro. As you guys may have noticed, there was a PS5 Pro back there. Let me go ahead and get this AverMedia out of the way. So yeah, we got PS5 Pro. You can't really see it, but we got PS5 Pro content coming out as well. So I'm going to be streaming games on this. I need to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before the end of the year. So I want to try to finish that in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Same goes for Stellar Blade. So we do have some PS5 content. For those of you that are getting PS5 Pro, for whatever reason, if you're like a console gamer and you also game on PC, because there's no like, oh, you game on PC, you can't game on console. No, there's none of that nonsense. I game on console, I game on PC, I do it all. So we're going to be covering PS5 Pro this month, and then there'll be like a mix of back and forth. There'll be like 9800X 3D, and then PS5 Pro. But this weekend, I'm probably going to be streaming PS5 Pro. So stay tuned for that. I need to finish Stellar Blade and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is probably Game of the Year, but we'll find out soon. Okay. So, I didn't get to install the Montec cases, but I'll figure it out later. I just wanted to make sure that all this stuff worked. So, because someone was saying earlier, like, don't you want to test it before you build it? I was like, well, you know, yeah, I could, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to work. So, I just put it all together, and sure enough, it all works. So, Silent Hill 2. Mad Dude just subscribed. Thanks for the sub. Alright, guys. Well, that's probably going to be it. That's going to be it. We're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all for tuning in. This is probably going to be the final build live stream of the year. With this, I have completed all the new CPUs. We did Zen 5. I built 9950X. We did Intel Core Ultra. We did Ryzen 8700G. We did 9700X. Now we finally completed, we've come full circle with the 9800X 3D for a true high-end gaming PC. So that's going to be it. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow on the next live stream. So tune in to the same time tomorrow for PS5 Pro. So until then, take care, and I'll see you guys then. Thanks.